Have you ever been so hungry on your diet that even a cardboard box looks appetizing? Here's the thing. Fat loss isn't about seeing how little you can eat before passing out. And if you don't learn how to control hunger, you won't even make it past a few weeks before finding yourself face first in a bag of chips, wondering where it all went wrong. Trust me, I wasted 30 years starving my way to my goal weight only to gain back every pound. It wasn't until I learned how to manage hunger that I finally lost 50 pounds and kept it off. So in this video, I'll show you 6 science-backed ways to keep hunger in check so you'll never have to starve yourself thin again. But if you keep skipping meals here and randomly snacking there, your hunger will control your results, which means no matter how hard you try, you'll never see real progress. So how did I finally get the results I wanted after years of falling for every fad diet, including fasting up to 24 hours at a time? With summer right around the corner, let me show you how fat loss is just like working towards the perfect tan. Imagine you're trying to build a golden sun-kissed tan. If one day you sunbathe at 6 a.m. and then the next day at 6 p.m., you won't get the same results. Laying out in the sun at different times each day when the sun's intensity is completely different only leads to a patchy and inconsistent tan instead of an even golden glow. Your metabolism works the same way. When you eat at random times every day, skipping breakfast some days while snacking late at night at others, your body doesn't know what to expect, which spins your hunger hormones out of control. So instead of feeling naturally satisfied throughout the day, you'll begin experiencing random spikes in hunger, cravings, and energy crashes. But when you eat on a consistent schedule, this helps your body adapt just like it would to a regular tanning routine. Eating at the same time every day leads your hunger hormones to anticipate meals instead of spiking randomly. You'll start feeling less hunger in between meals since your body learns when to expect food. This also helps regulate your energy levels, making it easier to stick to your plan. So just like building a perfect tan, if you want to control hunger to help you stay on track, consistent meal times are key. But please don't listen to weight loss gurus who dictate the perfect time to eat. Make your routine convenient to your lifestyle so you actually stick to it by picking meal times that work for you. Then stick to them as closely as possible each day, even on weekends. Because the more predictable your eating schedule is, the better your body will regulate hunger without the constant, "No, I'm starving, and now I'm stuffed" cycle. My current schedule looks like a protein shake about 15 minutes after waking up, followed by a high protein snack after my walk. And then I eat lunch around 1 with an afternoon snack at 3, followed by dinner at 6. But just like timing your meals won't be enough if you're not also paying attention to what you're eating. If you've ever tried to get the perfect tan, you know that not all sunblock is created equal. At noon, when the sun is blazing, you might need SPF 50 to protect your skin. But in the morning or late afternoon, when the sun isn't as intense, you might not need sunblock at all. Or you could even use tanning oil to maximize your results. Fat loss works the same way. The foods that fuel you best in the morning might not be the same foods that fill you up at night. And if you're not paying attention to what your body actually needs at the different times of day, you could end up sluggish, constantly hungry, or even battling cravings, just like using the wrong SPF could leave you burned. When I set out to lose 50 pounds after regaining the weight I lost on keto, I still recognized that keeping carbs low early in the day helped control hunger. But here's the thing. Keeping carbs too low all day led to migraines and exhaustion. So I started adding carbs to meals and snacks later in the day. This strategy worked since it kept hunger low early, which left room to enjoy a bigger meal at dinner. Since a larger carb-heavy meal at night is great at putting you into a rest and digest state, this makes it easier to sleep. And getting more high-quality sleep is huge for appetite control. As I progressed, I also learned the importance of stacking carbs around my workouts. Since timing carbs before strength training gives you energy, while adding carbs to your post-workout meals aids in recovery, making it easier to build muscle. Just like experimenting with different SPF levels helps you figure out what works for your skin, you need to experiment with different foods at different times to see what keeps you full, energized, and feeling your best. Since we're all different, you'll have to test and figure out what works for you. What's currently working for me is to stay somewhat low carb early in the day since I'm not as hungry at that time. I keep mornings low carb with a protein shake, plus a protein boost for a snack, and lunch is where I start adding more carbs. But since my lunch is also packed with fiber, it doesn't cause me to overeat early in the day. I can get away with a carb-heavy snack like popcorn in the afternoon. This big bowl provides a good amount of volume plus fiber to keep me satiated until dinner. Once dinner hits, I keep it high in protein and don't shy away from carbs since I know they're great for helping me get more restful sleep. Of course, what works for you might be different than what works for me. But once you dial it in, hunger becomes so much easier to control without the crashes, cravings, or random overeating later. But there is one thing that makes the first two strategies way more effective. And if you're not doing this, your plan is almost guaranteed to fail. Let's go back to our tanning example to explain why. If you're fair-skinned and spending the day outside, waiting until your skin is already pink to apply sunscreen is a terrible idea. Most people with fair skin need to apply sunscreen before even stepping outside because once you start burning, the damage is already done. And if you don't reapply throughout the day, you're all but guaranteed to turn into a lobster. Protein works the same way when it comes to hunger. If your first meal is low in protein, by the time lunch rolls around, you're already way hungrier than you should be. And if you don't continue eating protein consistently throughout the day, then hunger catches up with you. That's when cravings kick in, your willpower tanks, and suddenly you're elbow deep in a plate of junk food, wondering where it all went wrong. Protein is your hunger shield since it takes longer to digest than carbs and fats, which keeps you fuller longer. It also regulates hunger hormones, so you're not constantly feeling snacky. And just like sunscreen protects your skin from damage, protein protects your metabolism since whenever you're in a calorie deficit, protein helps preserve muscle mass. This is important since maintaining muscle keeps your metabolism from slowing down. But when you start the day with at least 30 grams of protein, and you keep meals between 30 to 50 grams, while aiming for more protein-based snacks, that's the key to staying ahead of hunger. But if you're still saving all of your protein for dinner, or worse, some diet guru made you terrified of overeating protein, that's a recipe for disaster. That's the exact reason I aim to start every day with close to 30 grams of protein, which is easy to do with a simple protein shake. Then I plan every meal and snack around protein. Starting each snack with 2 to 3 ounces of meat makes it easy to get 20 to 25 grams of protein in a snack while adding very few calories. Or if I'm not in the mood for meat, a single serving of Greek yogurt stacks up to 17 grams of protein in only 100 calories. When I aim for 5 ounces of lean meat with lunch and dinner, that makes it easy to get close to 50 grams of protein, whether I choose lean beef, turkey, or chicken. Spreading protein out in meals and snacks throughout the day makes it easy to stay on track. Because just like one layer of sunscreen won't last all day, one high protein meal won't keep you full all day. You have to eat protein consistently if you want to avoid hunger burnout before it starts. But even though spreading out protein is a great tool to keep hunger in check, sometimes you need a little extra oomph to get you through the day. But abusing that oomph, like too many dieters do, will backfire. That's why this next fat loss tool is just like using sunscreen strategically. You don't want to burn, but you also don't want to spend all summer looking like Casper the Friendly Ghost, which means you have to use sunblock at the right times while also using the right amount. Caffeine works the exact same way when it comes to hunger and fat loss. When used strategically, caffeine is an amazing tool since it's proven to suppress appetite, which helps you push through long stretches without feeling overly hungry. It's also great before an early workout since it boosts energy and focus, making workouts feel easier. And when timed correctly, caffeine can even slightly increase fat burning. But if you overdo it or take it too late in the day, that's when you run into problems. That's because too much caffeine spikes cortisol, which is your stress hormone. This increases cravings, making it easier to overeat. Plus, taking caffeine too late in the day is a scientifically proven way to wreck your sleep, even if you think you're the exception. Trust me, you're not. If you're drinking caffeine within 10 hours of bedtime, it's destroying your sleep, whether you feel it or not. And since bad sleep leads to more cravings, This is a cycle you don't want to be stuck in. I start caffeine first thing to put some pep in my step for an early morning workout or walk. I add half a serving of this pre-workout to my shake if I'm only walking, or a full serving before a morning workout since I need more energy. Then I'll have another 100 milligrams of caffeine mid-morning to keep my energy high and my hunger low, followed by a green tea sometime before noon. As long as you time it right, it's an incredible fat loss tool. But if you overdo it, that's when it'll burn you faster than the Arizona sun. But not taking advantage of the energy boost that caffeine provides is a mistake too many dieters make. And it's one of the biggest reasons so many women stay stuck in a never-ending diet cycle. All of my bronze beauties understand the more often you sit in the sun, the more your body adapts. Which means over time, you don't have to lather yourself in SPF 50 every time you step outside. Movement works the same way when it comes to controlling hunger. If you focus on getting more movement throughout the day, your body adapts in a way that naturally suppresses appetite. But if you overdo it with high-intensity cardio, you can actually make hunger worse, just like too much sun exposure leaves you fried instead of golden. That's why moderate movement, like walking, strength training, or even just cleaning your house, helps regulate hunger hormones, keeping you satisfied longer. On the other hand, going all in on HIIT workouts or running yourself into the ground can spike hunger, leaving you ravenously hungry. In order to use movement strategically to control hunger, focus on getting more low to moderate movement throughout the day instead of just relying on intense cardio sessions. And for those of us aging like a fine wine, which is just a nicer way of saying women over 40, this is even more important since overdoing high-intensity cardio can do a number on your stress hormones. So when you think of movement for fat loss, think of it like building your sun tolerance. Small, frequent doses help your body adjust naturally. Because just like a slow, steady tan lasts longer than a painful burn, daily movement keeps hunger in check far better than punishing cardio sessions. This final tool doesn't work exactly like our sunbathing example, because if you do this in the sun, hello lobster. But if you're not doing this in your fat loss plan, hello Shamu. Not that I'm calling anyone Shamu. I just thought it fit with the whole lobster and beach theme. But if we want this fat loss thing to work, we need to speak to ourselves nicely. So less Shamu references and way more self-love. Right, back to my point. Imagine you're laying out, the sun is shining, and you're feeling warm and relaxed. Maybe too relaxed since the next thing you know, you've dozed off 20 minutes in. And when you wake up, you are completely scorched. Falling asleep in the sun is a clear sign of two things. One, you're not getting enough high quality sleep at night. And two, you risk being burned beyond recognition. But just like that burn wrecks your skin, poor sleep wrecks your hunger control. Whenever you don't sleep well, your body fights back. Your hunger hormones go haywire, cravings for junk food skyrocket, and your willpower goes right out the window. Suddenly, you find yourself hungrier all day, constantly snacking just to stay awake. It's no coincidence that sleep-deprived people crave sugar, processed carbs, and high-calorie food. This is your body literally begging for energy. But when it doesn't get it from sleep, it looks for the next quickest fix, junk food. So if you're constantly battling cravings, ask yourself, am I actually getting 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every night? Am I setting myself up for better rest by cutting caffeine late in the day and keeping a consistent bedtime? And am I waking up feeling rested or just surviving on coffee and hoping for the best? Because just like falling asleep in the middle of your tan ruins your skin, sleep deprivation ruins your appetite control, fat loss, and decision making. If sleep is an issue for you, fixing it needs to be your #1 priority. Because once you stop battling sleep, you stop battling constant hunger. Of course, just stopping hunger won't work if you're not also following the other important habits that will get you across the finish line. You can learn all of those habits, which are the same habits I use to lose 50 pounds and keep it off, in this video. I take you through a full 7-day plan, including what I ate, how often I exercise, and the tracking system I use to guarantee consistent fat loss.